So as far as jumping in, I want to say welcome to everybody for joining today. This is our fourth webinar where we discuss the different strategies in order to face the coronavirus. And so we kick these off because during this time we wanted to make sure that we can get everybody together in order to bring together internal resources, external resources, just to provide as much information and guidance during this time as possible. And so if you're joining us, one thing that we want, and you wanted to have this in a different language, we're hosting these in a couple of different languages already. So we have these in Spanish, German, Dutch, French as well. So if you'd like, if you'd like, or you know somebody who'd like to join in those languages, feel free and direct them there. And yeah, so just wanted to go ahead and put that out there. Today I'm joined by two people. So I'll leave it to you guys to go ahead and introduce yourselves. From if you want to go ahead and kick it off.
On after you, Junior.
Hey guys, I'm Junior Leoso. I'm currently based out of Pacific Beach, California, the owner and founder of Pacific Beach Training. And we are here to help as many people as possible get through this whole crisis, if you will.
So welcome, Junior. Good to have you on again.
Thank you.
I'm Jon Nasta, and I work for a company called Retention Solutions. We've been helping hundreds of clubs keep millions of members happy for the last 14 years. And up until last year, I was Director of Marketing and E-commerce for a low-cost, high-volume operator with 350,000 members and 52 sites.
Awesome. Welcome, John, and good to have you on again as well. And then for my end, I'm Kalen, everybody. I'm the head of US market here for Virtuagym. And so as far as jumping in, a couple housekeeping things we want to go ahead and get out of the way. So if you guys are joining and haven't been on before, you're going to see a couple of different options that are available for you in terms of how to participate within the webinar. I see a couple people actually raising their hands within here as well. We have one person who's online who's going to be monitoring the chat, so that this way we can try and answer those in either in the webinar via the speakers themselves, or if we are not able to get to them through the session itself, then we'll stay online for a couple minutes after the scheduled time and just make sure that we respond to them via chat. So on the chat side of things, you'll notice that there's two different ways in order to chat within here. So within it, go ahead and if you're going to put a question out using the Q&A button there, make sure to pose them so that this way it can be for the panelists and the attendees in order to be able to see. So that way, this way we can make it more like an open discussion. If you want to go ahead and just make it for the panelists, then it'll only be people on our end who will see, and we'll be answering it solo just to you. So better that, for purposes of discussion, we can go ahead and have it posted out to everybody. And so for Angelo, I think you already posted a question in there, which we have on our end. As far as the agenda and focus for today, really what we wanted to do is just share as much information as we can with everybody, so that this way they can make it through these times that nobody could have anticipated. And so as far as what we'll cover, we'll have Junior share a bit about his business as well as his response during this time. John's also going to share his observation and some best practices as well from what he's been seeing. And also we have a portion of this which is to help you as a business owner to be able to think about some strategies that could be good if we're going into a recession as well. So that's going to be the focus for today. And so jumping into agenda item number one, Junior, I know you already had a little bit of time in order to kind of introduce yourself really briefly. For the people who have joined today, many of them, it's the first time that they've actually jumped on a webinar session with us. Can you give everybody an introduction to your business?
Yeah, sure. Thanks again for having me, by the way. Like I said before, I'm based out of San Diego, California, Pacific Beach, down here at the beach. And our business model was coming about 15 years ago when the small group training trend was about to take flight. I come from a sports background. I played all the fun sports and some not so fun sports. And there was a very big gap between what we did for athletes or how we trained athletes and then what we did for everybody else. So when my sport playing days were coming to an end and I was going to the gyms, I noticed that we kind of treated everybody in the gyms as if they already had injuries or they were going to be bodybuilders. There was really nobody in between. Everything was pretty strict, pretty safe, not very exciting, so on and so forth. And it kind of hit me like a ton of bricks when I thought, why don't we just train everybody like they were going to play in a season? You know, why are we creating programs for people as if they were all Jay Cutler or if they were all going to get on stage soon? It just didn't make any sense. So that was the creation of our business model. Our business model was to train our everyday clients as if they had a season to get ready for as well. And what that means for us, if some of you guys are not familiar with the breakdown, is most athletes in most sports have a quarterly training program. We have an in-season, we have a post-season, we have an off-season, we have a pre-season, and depending on what game you play, the weight training, the nutrition, the cardio training varies, and it should vary specifically. Very soon after we implemented this program, all of our clients started getting some tremendous results. And we got noticed pretty quickly here in San Diego just because we had 18-year-old kids and 68-year-old people losing weight and getting in shape and not getting injured. And that became the staple business model. That became what we were all about. And we just transitioned that theory and that program across the board. You can interject whatever your style is, whether that's strength training, whether that's kettlebell training or fight fitness, which is all of the baselines of what we do. Currently, our membership sits somewhere around 200 people, give or take the month. And that's very well for the size of studio that we have here. When this whole coronavirus thing started coming about here in the States, you know, we heard a little bit early in the year, and by February, a lot of people were talking about it, and by March, we were shutting doors down. I am beyond thankful that we had Virtuagym as a platform at the time because we were already fully integrated. And what that meant for us was we were already used to talking with people via the chat room in the app. We were already used to doing online fitness assessments, and we were very used to programming workout programs through the Virtuagym system and the calendar. So although it sucked, like it did for everybody, that we had to shut our doors eventually, the transition wasn't that horrible. And we're still in that pocket now where we're just becoming better and better at this. So what we were able to do pretty quickly is leverage all the features in the program. One of the quick tricks or hacks, if you will, that we picked up on pretty quick was the ability to use the marketing banners at the bottom of the app. And as a matter of fact, as I shared this with another colleague, they're having really good success with this as well. And I just want to show you what that looks like. So as you guys can see, there's our normal app, right? And what we did is we just hijacked those marketing banners there that we were using to sell swag and products in the gym. But now those banners are just adjusting to our classes. So we implemented all the classes with the applicable Zoom link like we're on now. And what will happen is if a client is going to take that athletic conditioning class, they'll just tap the banner and that'll launch them right into the Zoom workout program. And those are all the live features. We also took advantage of the video on demand feature, which made the transition much easier, to say the least. So for us, the ability to pivot really quickly and keep good relationships with our clients has been the secret sauce to success here. And if any of you guys are looking for a way to leverage the app, rest assured that that opportunity is in there. They do have the features. You just got to get creative. And some of you guys may have some better ideas out there as well. But the ability to leverage the online training, whether live or pre-recorded, is in there. It's also been my experience over the last 2 weeks that there's a lot of stuff that I wasn't using optimally. The features with the assessments, the Q&A, the intake log. Because we were always doing those things in person, we never really dove into those things through the app or through the desktop version. And those are really cool as well. So, you know, us closing down our shop wasn't as massive as a hit as I was ready for. I was definitely ready to suffer a bit more. But if anything else, this has brought our community a bit closer. Our members are a bit closer to the coaches and trainers. And we haven't really seen a major loss in revenue. In addition to that, because of where we are and because of the relationship with our property owners and property management, like some of you guys may have, we're also able to leverage this time to keep the cash flow positive with some agreements and negotiation deals with our property management as well. So I encourage you guys to look into that side of things too.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing. I think one of the things that yeah that jumped out is how quickly this changed as well. I remember when you and I first were talking about the situation, you actually got a little bit of a heads up on some of the other some of the other fitness facilities, because at least in the States, because you said that your customer demographic kind of skews in a way where there's medical as well within there.
Yeah, that's very true. Just because of where we're located here in San Diego, we have a massive influx of doctors and nurses. We do have some top hospitals around here, and there's a lot of nurses and doctors that come here to complete training and start the beginning parts of their career. And obviously, if they had a choice on where to live and work, San Diego's a pretty hotbed for that as well. So we do have a pretty big medical field member base. So we got the heads up kind of behind the scenes because they knew what was coming, and they were getting geared up for what was about to come in the coming weeks. So that did give us a little bit of insight for sure. And ironically, as we've talked about before, a handful, not all, but only a handful of them were the only ones to currently freeze their memberships. So from a business perspective, it was actually okay. It wasn't any more or less of the attrition than normally expected. So we got lucky there.
Yep. And then the other thing I'm not sure if everybody caught is that Junior actually uses Zoom in order to do his live video classes at the moment. Junior, can you explain, the process of setting that up? I know you told me that it wasn't necessarily as simple as going from class to Zoom and bam. There was some growing pains that came along with that. So what would you tell people as far as advice on how to get that set up if they haven't already?
Buy a membership. Make sure you guys buy a Zoom package because at 40 minutes, me and 45 of my closest colleagues got cut off mid-workout towards the tail end. So make sure you guys buy a membership through Zoom. Secondly, what I would recommend you guys do is, opposed to starting a new link every single time or regenerating a link every single time, as long as your class schedule is consistent, I would have one consistent link ongoing for each applicable class. So, if you have 3 classes a day, 5 days a week, you should have no more than 3 shareable links. The setup is pretty simple, especially if you already understand this stuff. Simply creating the Zoom meeting in Zoom itself and copy pasting that link through the back end of the Virtuagym system settings where you have the marketing banners. That's pretty much it. A side note, as we went through the first week, I would encourage all of you to teach your members. I put out a how-to video of how to access the desktop version of the app. If you're anything like me, we never really used it because the app was the app. We used it for the fitness assessments via the phone, and that was pretty simple for the check-ins. We never really used the desktop version, but if you're training clients at home, it's going to be much better for you and easier for them, and just more aesthetically pleasing if they can see you on a laptop or a full desktop rather than their cell phone. So get the Zoom program, copy paste your applicable links to the marketing side, make it as pretty as possible. You can change the photos and the images to describe your classes, your coaches, etc. And teach your members, do a how-to video and teach your members how to log on to their Virtuagym desktop.
Okay, you got a couple questions here, Junior. I'm going to go ahead and just read them off for you. The first one is, if you keep using the same links, how do you keep past clients from using it?
That's a great question. So we are trying to cross that bridge as well, and we had to talk about ways to monetize it. But my short answer for that is Right now, the only way people can use the Zoom link is if they have your app, if you're doing it through the way we're doing it. So you can control the back end membership base. If you have people that are accessing your app and still clicking into those workouts, remember Zoom is very controllable like it is now. We can open this participants list and see all 103 participants pretty easily. If it were me, I wouldn't kick anybody off. I'd make a list of who's on there, and I'd contact them directly after the class, thank them for being on there, and offer them your new online membership memberships that you guys have. So you can remove them if you don't want them to have access, but I would try to get as many people on as possible, treat it like a free trial, show them that you know what you're doing, and then close a deal in the back end.
And then the other question that I have here is, how could we do one consistent link if we only offer single class purchases?
If you only offer single, so you guys do one-offs, I'm assuming. You just do a one-time drop-in fee. If that is the case, I would keep the link the same, and then you can monetize the credits. So we offer, for my gym personally, we offer two kinds of memberships. We offer a limited version, which gives people 8 workouts a month, and then we offer an unlimited version. So in our package system, every month, that member will get 8 credits to use how they see fit. You could do the same if you're gonna do a one-off. You could do a drop-in fee where they have to go to the app, click on there, and buy a membership. So I'll show you guys really quick. I hope you don't mind, Kalen, maybe 30 seconds here. But if we we go to our Instagram page, and I'm sure everybody has done something similar. From the IG page, I know that's horrible. In the link there, that bit.ly link will take you directly to the web shop, right? So the web shop should have what you're offering now. So currently we offer 2 systems. We're doing a $49 membership and a $10 membership, okay? 49, 10. We're trying to get as many people on the boat as possible, and then we're gonna upsell them later. If I were you and you're doing a one-off, I'd have a third, or maybe that's one of your one-offs, and just do a one-time purchase. When that member clicks that option there, it's going to prompt them to either create an account or sign in with their current account, and then they can pay PayPal, credit card, debit, whatever. So I would just use all the features as much as possible so that everything stays in-house. I hope that helps.
And then a question that came in from John. How long before the class do you start before opening the link?
So that's a great question. So in the marketing app, we found out because it wasn't built for this particular option, if you put a marketing banner up, the marketing banner just runs consistently. So you do have the option to go in there and limit the time slots. So for us, what we found works best is we open up the time slots 15 minutes before the class starts, and we leave it open for 15 minutes after the class begins. So there's a half-hour window there where you're allowed to jump on. If you're more than 15 minutes late, that banner's gone and you can't really find it. So that's what works best for us, and I think that's the best way to go about it so far. It also, if you have a large gym following and you offer a lot of group classes, this will stop your banners from being flooded with 40 options. For example, it will only show 2 to 3 at a time. And then for the following hour, those 2 to 3, and so on and so forth.
Yep. And then I got another question here, which is how many members did you lose out on of the 200, and how many are you paying? How many are paying to use the app?
All members are paying for the app, so we don't have any members that are not using the app. Currently, maybe every day through social media efforts and our social media advertising, we're acquiring a couple newbies that are going to go on a free trial, but all members, 100% of the members are on the app. And as far as how many did we lose so far, I want to say we still haven't broken the 10-person barrier. So I don't think we're at 10 losses yet. Last I checked, we were at 4 freezes. So no cancellations, 4 freezes, and we're still pushing strong. And on that note, remember that this is not, there's no magic pill for this part. We talk about this in our weekly staff meeting. There is no Band-Aid for this. This is 100% you, the gym owner, getting on the horn, getting on the emails, making sure that you're talking to them like a regular human being. I know that there's a ton of stuff out there about, you know, preset emails and the pre-targeted blah, blah, blah. You got to get on the horn. You got to call your 200 people every single week and say, hey, John, how you doing, man? How's the family? Is everything okay? Is there anything I can do to help out? And you got to mean it. You can't go out there and fluff it, right? I talk about this a lot with people in general, that gyms and fitness professionals, we're in a different world because you can't fake it very long. You can fake it in the beginning and people can buy in and show up to your gym, but you can't fake it very long because people are paying for you, right? They're paying for your help. And if you're not cool and they're not going to invite you to your house for dinner, you're not going to be their coach or trainer very long. And that's just the nature of this business. So make sure that you mean it. If you're a good person and you've been running a gym a long time, you got it. You got it in you. Make sure you stay in contact with those people. The guys that lose the most clients, this is your chance to stop, reflect on what you're doing wrong or not enough of, because that's not a magic pill. Everybody's going to have to deal with this themselves for sure.
Awesome. Thanks, Junior. And then,
Yep.
you know, kind of coming to a different question, so changing it up a little bit. John, you know, for people who are looking on not using, you know, technology and that, what do you think are some unique customer service communication ideas that they can put into practice easily and quickly during this time?
Well, just like great answers there, Junior. I could have listened to all evening there. Thank you very much. It's interesting one that is, and there's been a lot of different information coming my way the last couple of weeks on this one. What I would say in terms of what we're doing now, I mean, obviously a lot of people here, as we discussed last time, have gone through that panic phase. And now we're at the phase, as we established last week, where we've suddenly discovered that there's roughly 10 million online fitness experts in the marketplace as well. And those people who've been a bit more measured about what they're doing and stuck to their values and decided they're going to deliver more than just a workout, like Junior was saying, have stepped back and said, what do? We communicate with people honestly and consistently a couple of times a week. So that's what we're going to carry on doing. And we can do that via the phone. We can do that via these Zoom meetings. And we're going to take the option to say, not all of our progress is going to be measured by ground we're gaining at the moment. Quite a lot of our progress is going to be measured by the losses we're avoiding. And it's the tactics we're going to use rather than our long-term strategy. It's the tactics that we use to stay in control of how we react to what's happening to us that are going to help us achieve those gains by stopping the losses. Okay, so I'm seeing some fantastic stuff. So there's a club I work with, club chain I work with in Ireland called the Iconic Clubs, owned by a guy called Barry Walsh. He gave his members the option to carry on paying, but he said, anything you do pay, we're going to give to a suicide prevention charity. What a fantastic message to send out there. And his priority has been looking after his staff. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that was an absolutely fantastic thing there. They're really focusing more on keeping in touch with people on a social level rather than just providing workouts. And that's working well for them. It's stuck with their values. And whilst they're doing that, the staff feel great about raising money for a charity that's very, very important. Okay, especially at this time. There's a lot of people really feeling the pain and mental health. And that's where, again, I'm seeing a lot of clubs working hard now on delivering more than just the workout. Before we jumped on here, we were talking about a lovely boutique studio in Holland who's organising a game of bingo this Friday evening. It's €10 a bingo card, and there's prizes like 15 free PT sessions, 15 free class sessions, membership for a month, special clothing packages, and it's going to provide something more than just a workout. And again, I think Junior touched on this. It's, there's nothing wrong with selling while this is going on. And in particular, there's nothing wrong with nurturing that lead bank you've got. What a great idea to let people come on to your workout. They might feel like they've sneaked onto it. Don't stand there and out them. You know, welcome them in through the walls, into the walls of your club. But just check in with them afterwards. Say, did you enjoy it? If you didn't enjoy it, what can we do better next time? If you did enjoy it, how can we get you on board for more of these things? Okay, Don't be afraid. I love the way Junior was. He's obviously gathering data by letting people pop their email addresses in to register for things as well. Why would you not do that? You do that in normal times of business. Do it now. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of people coming up with challenges. which again, you know, total disclosure, I put the Virtuagym app into the club chain I worked with 5 years ago. Challenges was fantastic for us. But think about the challenges that you're doing. Maybe make them in line with what the next forecasted shutdown dates are going to be for you guys. I'm seeing a lot of people at the moment planning and prepping for some challenges to come into force in a couple of weeks' time, when people are hitting that 4 weeks of closed doors and realize that they've been sitting inside eating too much ice cream. Yeah. Okay. So are you going to have a package ready for those people who suddenly realize their jeans aren't fitting anymore? Yeah. So just some very simple things, but the guys that are sticking to it, I mean, it's funny how I've listened to Junior for a couple of weeks now, and he's telling people that they were able to pivot very quickly. I'm not hearing that they pivoted at all. I'm hearing about an organization who stuck to their core values and carried on delivering on what they're doing. And, you know, there's no harm in taking a step back, making sure you're delivering your online fitness on the correct platforms, that you can monitor who's coming in and out. You can let people register and become a lead for a new membership who you can sell to during this crisis. If you're sticking to your consistent strategy and you've got it written down, you're gonna do okay. And there's platforms there to help you do it. And there's lots and lots of people sharing information to help you do it as well. That's the other thing I found out through all of this, is the people who are doing well, they're coming onto webinars like this, and they're not afraid to ask questions. They're not afraid to ask for help, because people are more than happy to give it. So that's where I'm at the moment, Kalen.
Awesome. Thank you, John. And one of the questions that came in as you were speaking, John, was, is it advisable to pre-sell training at a discounted rate while closed?
We are seeing, and this came on a webinar I was at yesterday, a lot of people are doing kind of like, if you buy 10 packages of training, we will give you a further 5 free at the moment. And I think there's nothing wrong with that if you're working that out properly in a properly thought through forecast. So we're encouraging a lot of our clients, you know, in times of crisis, cash is king. Okay, we're encouraging our clients to keep a 13-week rolling cash forecast going. Okay, so if you're building in packages like that into that 13-week rolling forecast and it's working for you and you're adjusting the numbers, then that's not a bad thing. One of the things that is worrying a few of my colleagues is, if we're offering a lot of our online stuff free, how are we going to make the value? How are we going to make the members see a value in that when we want to start charging for it? Okay, so be really careful if you're doing too much free. In that crisis, panic moment, there was a lot of free stuff. I think that's absolutely fine. It shows that you're trying to look after people. In the long term, if you do too much free stuff and you're not measuring it, how are you going to show that as value? And I'm just a little bit worried about how we're devaluing online fitness. And I think we've got to be careful about how we package that up. So now's the time to start thinking about doing it. But, you know, if you're going to do offers, make sure you've thought through and forecasted your cash flow on that side of things, and then you should be fine with it.
Yeah, good point. I think that's a super valuable thing in order to say, because right now you're just seeing so many people just rushing in order to throw out content on Instagram, Facebook, etc. Free classes, free sessions, free materials as well that people are able to use. And I think it's important to know what the end goal is out of that as well. How are you going to leverage that content to ultimately drive business value, rather just for the sake of putting content out there?
Yeah, and if you're doing it to gain leads and increase your lead bank, that's fantastic, you know. But what, exactly like you said, what are you getting out of it? So, and I really like the way that you know, Junior's open up the link for the classes 15 minutes before the class, so you've got people coming in, they're getting some social interaction. I'm sure you're getting some people there who are absolutely delighted to see the same people that they see in those classes. They can exchange some, and afterwards they can have that little debrief. We're seeing quite a few clubs just opening up those Zoom links for a half-hour coffee break, you know, times a day when everyone's cooped up at home working. Why not open up the Zoom links for the coffee break, you know? You don't even have to talk to anyone. You can just listen in to what's going on. But it's quite nice just to just hear a bit of conversation going on rather than you and your dog and the kids, you know. So there's some really neat things there. And they're all coming back to the fact that the people who are doing this are clear that they're delivering more than just a workout for people. It's more than just a workout. Like Junior was saying, people are buying into you. They're not just coming around because they like having a workout with you in the long term. Okay, so just have a bit of confidence in what you're delivering for people.
All right, thanks, John. Going into the next piece, I wanted to take some time in order to talk about what's happening if we're heading towards a recession, and what are some potential strategies that could help a business come out of this successful. And so some of the indicators that we're seeing at the moment, which are really signs that this is the direction that we're potentially heading in, is the record layoffs that we're seeing. I think it's really interesting to see how crazy actually this has escalated. I presented this graph last week, and we were at 3.34 million people who filed for unemployment. 1 week later, that's essentially almost doubled. Regardless of what number that you look at, this is unprecedented numbers that we've seen in the U.S. The last number that we've seen before was as the highest was right around 600,000 in a week. So literally almost overnight, unemployment has spiked from 3.5% to 10% now, and people are starting to agree that we are heading towards a recession, and unemployment could go as high as 20%. So what does this mean? How can we get on the offensive and create strategies that are going to make us come out of the recession better, rather than being on the defensive? That's really what we want to talk about now, going through this portion of the presentation. And we thought, what better place to really look at than the last recession that we saw in 2008. And when we take a look there, the first key takeaway is an obvious one. This disposable income of consumers is going to take a nosedive. In 2007, when we saw the rate of unemployment go from 4.9%, and then in 2009 it reached 9.7%. So basically doubled. The other thing which we saw in the U.S. is that the impact that this actually had on business. So it was tremendous. The rate of bankruptcy increased 220% between 2006 pre-recession and then at the end of 2008. As a result, across all markets, and then fitness as well, is that market demand actually ends up taking a hit as well. And because when we discuss a market demand, we're really talking about two things. So first is the target market's desire to purchase, and second is their ability to purchase. So typically desire is static. It doesn't change, where ability changes with the economy. And what is being experienced now, what customers want hasn't changed, and it won't change. They're still going to want to be able to work out. They're still going to want that personal connection. They're going to want that community. What potentially changes if cash gets tight is their ability in order to do this. So because of this, not all businesses fall into and fail because of that gap. Some actually use it to thrive. So if we take a look at high value, low cost models, the big box models that we saw, they grew during the last recession. Why? Because they did a great job bridging the gap between the customer's desire to purchase and their ability by offering a low cost membership. So today, as we go through the presentation, I want to look at this and really focus on some of the strategies that we can use in order to fill this particular gap, and as a result thrive during what could be difficult times. So the first is to have is discussing flexible business model. The gap is forming because customers want something that they can't have. So a savvy business owner will restructure their offerings to make them more available. If someone can't afford our traditional price, no problem. We'll offer them a stripped down version that they can afford If they don't have time to attend the gym because now they're working extra hours, no problem. We'll figure out a solution for them too. Business owners need to become more flexible to attract customers because the lifestyle of customers has to become more limited as they are fighting in order to earn dollars, which is how they vote. So then the next thing is about being customer centric and taking a value first mentality to our marketing strategies. We're already seeing a lot of this. We were discussing how many people are going out there and putting content out there. It's a great way in order to get eyes on the brand and use it in order to increase awareness and increase sales as a marketing tool. And this is great. We can no longer ask the consumers necessary to pay upfront for an annual membership right now off of the bat without first having earned their trust. They can't afford to take that risk anymore and wait for us to live up to the promises. They need to see that value earlier. And then the last thing is diversifying revenue streams. I think this piece here is one that, you know, some businesses who haven't found a way in order to pivot quickly and offer a way in order to engage with their customers now are really seeing maybe some of the pains of this, where they had all of their eggs in one type of offering and they're not able to engage with their members now. Every smart investor knows don't put all of your eggs in the same basket. Same is true for when it comes to these models. Make sure that we're able to have these other services that we're offering, so that this way we can rely on that cash flow on our business when people aren't able to come in like they are now. So these are really the three strategies that we wanted to jump into here. I'm just going to go ahead and scan the chats really quick as well before I move on, see if maybe I can answer a couple of questions. I think this is a great one here. So I'm just going to go ahead and read this one off. Junior, I'm curious to hear what you say on this one. So it's related to free trialing. Has anyone been able to sell a free week's trial and then automatically renew into a recurring paid monthly membership during this time?
Yes, and Virtuagym, if you guys go in the back when you create the membership, there is a grace period in there built in. So you can do this kind of automatically and have the renew time be where they get their payment or their invoice created. So as I said to this gentleman there, that is one of the smartest things you could do. And everybody on this call now needs to do this or make sure they have this up to date. Their membership option should not be just a free gimme week. It should be a free gimme week with something on the back end. And the onus is on us to deliver a service that will keep them there ongoing. So for sure, you can do that.
John, have you been seeing anything like this as well? I think you're on mute, sorry.
Yeah, just like to do the odd deliberate mistake here to make sure you're still listening to me. Yeah, we are seeing examples of this, and absolutely people using the correct platforms where they can actually register the lead, monitor what's going on, communicate to the lead, then they are still making sales. And I think, as was pointed out by Tim last week, you know, if you're up for it, the SEO, Facebook ads are about as cheap as they've ever been at the moment, and the competition for all the keywords is about as low as it's ever been. So it might not be your first move, but it's certainly something you should be thinking of looking at. And again, in terms of you know, you're looking to when you're coming through it and you're reopening, you know, what packages are you getting ready for people? Like you say, you know, are you going to have a kind of pay it forward, pay what you can afford package? Are you going to have your I've been inside for 6 weeks eating chips and ice cream, I need a 6-week body transformation package? Are you getting all these things ready now? You know, how are you going to sell them? Who are you going to sell them to? What's going to be the benefits of what you're selling? Okay, so there's a lot of people I know working on these things now. Okay, and again, in terms of surviving it, these people have already kept in touch and looked, they forecasted and know where they're at cash flow wise, and they've got 3 or 4 different scenarios ready cash flow wise based on different levels of memberships and different packages that they're anticipating they're going to be selling in the future. Okay, so they've got a very strong idea forecast-wise on the number of staff they're going to need, on the number of resources they're going to need, and on the revenue they're going to be able to bring in. And again, like Junior was saying, they've spoken to the vendors that they deal with, not just about short-term things, about long-term options as well. So these are all built into their forecast models. Okay, so I think, yeah, get out there, get the leads in, start nurturing the ones you have got, don't forget about them, and start gathering some new ones.
Yep. Thanks,
Kalen,
guys.
can I add something to that real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, jump in.
So I'd have to go back and look at the memberships, but I believe when you're creating your memberships, I believe the term that we use in Virtuagym is the prolongation period, or something along those lines. I think it's a prolongation period. So you can set your membership. Let's say, for example, it's the 1 week. You can set your membership for a 1 week period. That's the length of the contract. That can be free. The prolongation period will start then after, and you can set a separate price range and a separate duration for the prolongation period. So I believe that's the workaround to getting somebody to download the app, get their free week, and if they don't cancel, they'll get spit an invoice with the option to stay on and stay current. But I will definitely dig into that myself just in case, but I think that's how we do it.
Yep. Alrighty, guys. So diving into these things into a little bit more detail. So we're going to go into this based off of those 3 parts that we talked about. So first, we're going to look at what's attractive to members during these times and how you can market to potential clients. Next, we're going to look at how do you keep those members happy so that they can stay with you, you earn their trust, and that they're willing to spend money with you. And then finally, we're going to take a look at how to convert those happy and engaged members into high-value clients that are spending money and ultimately helping you grow your business. So first, we're going to take a look at how to develop interest, intrigue, and trust in your business above and beyond the traditional marketing strategies. And so with this piece here, going back to our conversation on market demand, remember that it's composed of desire to purchase and ability to purchase. Desire remains static. So what does that mean? What do customers want? Well, over the last few years, a lot of studies and surveys have been published and show that there's 4 main reasons that people value their gym and studio memberships. First is relationships. People want to interact with other fitness enthusiasts. They want their facility of choice to act as a social club as well. Second, they want to see progress. This one's a bit obvious. Every paid membership is an investment, and what people want to see a return on an investment. Are they trying to get a beach body? Are they trying to prepare for a competition? Are they trying to live a healthier lifestyle so that they're there for many years? Next, people want touch points, and which are defined as elements of value received from staff. Essentially, people want expert guidance and interactions. They don't want just to be part of some anonymous corporate. They want personality and caring behind the brand. Lastly, people want technology. This shouldn't be a surprise. 60% of the fitness market is millennials, and that number is only going to continue to grow. So if you look at these and then look at how the industry has changed since 2012, the end of the recession, you'll recognize how these desires influence the growth in the industry. So, we can think of brands like CrossFit, Orange Theory, the general growth in boutique studios. And the point here is that all of these things, the thing to remember here is that desire isn't going to change. They can't necessarily have them for one reason or another is the main thing. So that brings us to the next point. So if people can't afford the $150 to $300 a month packages like what we're offered, but they still want that level of service, not everybody is going to want the same thing. So what we can do instead, one option that we're talking about is breaking that down into parts and piecemealing it, for clients. Allow them to build their perfect offering and a service that fits their now limited budget, but will still allow them to grow based off of what they have available to them, and in turn giving you a chance in order to grow your business with their growth as well. Other thing is offering value that costs little to demonstrate and is highly valued among potential clients. So free of charge and as part of your marketing campaigns will immediately differentiate your business from competition. Customers will be able to take advantage of these offerings and then grow with the business into some of the more premium and paid services. So it also has a couple of other benefits. So if you look at the traditional buyer journey of a gym and a studio member, you'll notice that it's actually a pretty long one. And much of it is simply the buyer doing their due diligence. So it consists of them checking the website, looking at competitors, looking at reviews, checking out the facility, and so on. This process can take days, if not weeks, in order to go through. But it's required because the value can only be received once the payment has been made. But during these difficult times, it's important to to remember that maybe people aren't going to be willing to take that risk that brands are going to be able to deliver on the promise. So imagine if we change that. What if the funnel looked like this instead? So by having a funnel that looks like this, you can demonstrate the value you offer immediately after the buyer learns about your business. By doing that, you've done three things. One, you've reduced the time it could take for someone to become a member from weeks to potentially minutes. Two, you removed yourself from the price war because you're no longer differentiating on anything but value. And then three, you're capturing a prospective client information at a much higher rate than the competitors because you're offering much more value than the competition is. So again, these are the four key takeaways that we see within this piece. Moving on to the next part, which is about engaging. Now that you've restructured your packages, you made signing up for your service as appealing and as simple as possible. How do you make sure that you're offering new non-paying members enough value that they become paying members? And that's what we're going to look at with this particular phase here. So before we jump into it, want to pause and just explain that member engagement is simply another way of discussing member experience and whatever it is that we want to call it. You should be measuring it in terms of promoters and detractors. And your goal as a business owner is to have 100% of your members and clients be categorized as promoters, not just because it means that you're offering a world-class service, but also because it's going to build your business. So how do you build a business of promoters? Basically, you just focus on the four brand promises that we discussed earlier: relationships, progress, touch points, and technology. So on the relationship side of things, social interaction between your members affects renewals. If you guys have seen before, one of the surveys showed that the risk of cancellation is 56% higher for members of a gym who work out alone versus those who exercise in groups. This is why many organizations will include in their membership journey, having them go to a group class within their first couple of weeks because that social component. The first step in building a relationship is encouraging the members to attend classes. So whether that's in person, online, if they're fitness classes, Q&As, or workshops, the goal is to maximize face-to-face time between your members. Another thing which we kind of talked about earlier is challenges. So challenges are competitions and are another proven strategy to get members familiar with each other, building teams, and having them compete against each other. And that's going to help to drive results and drive the bonds that are also formed. Lastly, know your members. So find ways in order to create conversations around topics that they're actually interested in. So if for people who are using Virtuagym, you guys already know about the community features and the groups that are within the system. If you're not using Virtuagym and are looking for free resources, there's things like Facebook or WhatsApp groups around that you can also use to create these different groups around different goals, led by yourself, your staff, or maybe even senior members who can help to interact with that audience as well. Going on to the progress piece, make sure that your members understand the return on the investment in the form of their progress. So for those members who won't see the results in the mirror immediately, make sure that they have another way in order to visualize their achievements, where they are and where they need to be. Next, find reasons to make people feel good. If they've never worked out before, but they've been using their service consistently for a month or even a week, make them feel great about it. And lastly, enable the competitive nature of many fitness enthusiasts, and take the challenges that you're using to build the relationships and build the leaderboards that are always up to date and visible. And on the touch point side of things, touch points are undeniably the #1 strategy around customer satisfaction and retention. So if you guys have seen, some of the URSA reports that for every 2 touch points delivered in 1 month, that client's likelihood of churning the following month reduces by 32%. And the first thing to remember around the touch points is, first, to keep them relevant. If my goal is to lose 80 pounds, I'm probably not going to be to a point to where the top 10s of becoming an ultra runner is going to appeal to me. And for every irrelevant touch point that I get, I'm going to be less likely to read the next one. So now, unless you want to spend every and all day scouring the internet for personalized content for every person, you can also actually rely on your members in order to develop them as well. And this will allow you to have passive touch points. So this is where these are member initiated touch points. So, your members, you guys have probably seen this as well on your Facebook sites and that, where, one of your members might have shared a cool motivational video with another member, and then they all get notified of that. That's a touch point. Did somebody else go to your website, download a free workout? That's another touch point. So remember that a touch point is a piece of value that a member wouldn't have received unless they were a member of your brand. And it doesn't matter who necessarily initiates it, as long as it's unique to you and your brand. And then the last thing on this piece is, this is all about the member and not the company. While we might think it's nice to share a 12-month business plan with the members and talk about those things, are they really getting value from that? Probably not. We got to focus on what is going to help the members achieve their goals, both from progress and a relationship sense. Lastly, we have technology. So technology primarily exists to make the world a more convenient place. And in reviewing everything we've discussed until now, convenience needs to be at the utmost importance with this. So that means using Facebook for the community discussions, Twitter, sharing blog articles, Instagram for motivation, Shopify for buying memberships, and half a dozen fitness apps for tracking nutrition, workouts, progress, and so on, isn't going to cut it. They're all valuable, but don't complicate your members' life with more than what you actually need to. Those are it's a fragmented experience, and so on the same note, think mobile. Studies estimate that Americans today spend between 3 and 5 hours on their cell phones. So it's a platform of choice for everybody. So take advantage of it. And lastly, stay up to date. If you're posting your daily morning motivational quotes on your MySpace page, got some bad news for you. That's not going to work. So you got to make sure that you're staying up to date on the right channels. So likewise, if you're planning on building out a custom platform to deliver the best member experience, that's awesome. So at this point here, I want to go ahead and pause because we're at time. I'm going to go ahead and just look at some of the questions that have come through as well. Let's go ahead and scroll through them. Let's see what chats came through. Members and ask what they're seeing. Looks like they've all been answered. Can I go back to the slide about demand versus desire? Yeah, no problem. And then on this piece as well, guys, we're going to be sharing the slides with everybody afterwards, so that this way you guys have them. And then we're also going to be staying online here a bit longer, so that this way, if we haven't gotten back to the questions that you guys have posted, we'll stay on a little bit longer, so that this way we can respond to them via chat. as well. But that's essentially, guys, that's everything in terms of the content that we had planned for today, and want to respect everybody's time. I want to say thank you guys for taking the time in order to join us. I hope that this was valuable. Got some tips on how you can apply them to your business. I'm going to send out a poll at the moment right now as well. So this one here is for the people who are also are not Virtuagym customers. So sent it out to you guys now. Basically, if you'd like to learn a little bit more about Virtuagym, how we relate the product to these topic points on which we've discussed already. For the people who are already customers, not necessary on this one, but sent that out so you guys can have that one. And that's everything, guys. So thanks again. I'm going to go ahead and pause the screen sharing now. No more content. Last thing is that we will see you guys next Tuesday, same time.